Hi guys, Russ Burton at CA3 again. I thought I'd do an update on the whole council tax issue, seeing as everybody else seems to have dropped it. Everybody else seems to have got you to all run over the cliff. Um, and nobody's now offering you any solutions. It's gone very, very quiet now on the council tax issue. So, let me just start by saying I went on the council tax revolt. Lasted about 18 months. I'm now paying council tax under duress. Now, I went on the council tax revolt for blogging purposes. I wanted to blog on the corruptions within the council. I wanted to blog on the corruption with the magistrates' courts, which I did. I was asking nobody else to follow me. And I wanted to highlight the corruption. I wanted to highlight the corruption within with the liability orders. I wanted to highlight the corruption at the bulk centres and with the council and their fake summons. That was my process, and that was my thinking on council tax. So where is council tax and what's going to happen if you go into the council tax revolt? Now, I will say I encourage everybody to fight the power, fight the corruption. But what I am going to say to you is leave yourselves a back door, because it does get serious. It does get serious, guys. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could end up in a whole heap of trouble. So, what should you expect? We hear the phrase a lot that bailiffs have no power. Well, that's true to a certain extent. You'll go on your council tax vault between 6 months and a year. You'll hear nothing from the council, and if you haven't paid within that time, it will then be sent to a debt collection of bailiffs. What will happen from the bailiffs? You'll get letters. You'll get threatened. You'll get threatened by the bailiffs. They'll come and tell you that they've got a liability order and they've got warrants of entry and things like that. Now, you can ignore those people. I mean, I suggest if you're in that situation right now, that I wouldn't answer the door to them, because what will tend to happen is the bailiffs will call 3 times and then send the paperwork back to the council. If you do open the door to them, they're going to try everything within the power to take control of the situation. And you quite possibly might have a police officer stood at the side of them that's going to allow the fake liability order to take its process. Now, what I would do is I would ignore that and then wait for it to get sent back to council. Now, what nobody's telling you in this whole racket of agenda-based don't pay your council taxes, once it's gone back to the council, what's likely to happen then, from then on? Well, then it gets a little more serious, guys, because these people are quite prepared to break the law to stop you uncovering their law breaking. So, what will likely happen is they will go for a detachment of earnings, and they'll get it. They'll get it. The courts will, because we know the courts are fake. We know the courts are corrupt. The courts will grant it. So, you're going to be paying your council tax. It's as simple as that. So they'll either go for an attachment of earnings or they'll go for a committal to prison. Now, you can avoid the committal from prison if you know what you're doing. But heads or tails are going to get you one way or the other. It's either going to be committal to prison or they're going to go for the attachment of earnings. If you've got a council house, I suggest you forget it, because they'll take your council house off you guys. Now, I don't want to be negative here, guys, and I don't want anybody not to fight the power. I think you should all fight the power. You should all fight the corruption that's going on. But what I am saying to you guys is leave yourselves a back door. When I didn't pay my council tax for 18 months, I put the money away. I made sure that the money was there for when it got to say, because I knew it was going to get to a level. You know, I was never ever stupid enough to think that I could get a letter that zero balance my council tax, and I knew that they weren't going to say it. I knew that they were going to break the law in order just to defend their law. So leave yourselves a back door, people, but fight the power. That's my suggestion. If you all fight the power, but leave yourselves a back door, you'll have a constant stream of people going in. And you can feel some security in that, guys, because you always know that even though you're fighting the power and you're making things difficult for them, you have got your out when it gets serious. Now, thousands and thousands and thousands of years go through the process in that manner, we will have some success. But if you're going to get yourselves locked up, or if you're going to just cripple your families with attachment of earnings through a massive bill because you haven't taken any precautions to defend yourself, well, that isn't going to do anybody any good, let alone you or your family. So fight the power and stop listening to these charlatans that are on. I'm not going to name any of them, but stop listening to them because they're agenda based. They're treating you like lemons. They want you to go over the cliff so that they can ride in and be the big heroes. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that in my world. You know, I can't see the poor guys that, you know, not got a clue in this process. You know, just thinking that, well, all they have to do is put an access to denial on the door and everything's going to be all right. Because a lot of yous do think that. A lot of yous, I'm not being awful, guys, a lot of yous have taken the smallest concept of what's going on within the system and said, oh, well, he says I can do that. Well, ask him for his council tax, zero balance. If that's the case, I mean, if these people have beat the system, well, then they'd be able to put their paperwork up and show you their system. But these people never do that, guys. These people never do that. If you can't get confirmation of where they've beat the system, well, then take measures. Take precautions to protect yourself. As I say, I encourage you to go on council tax. Blog it, put it up online, show everybody else. But always leave yourselves a back door, guys. Protect yourself, protect your family. If you don't do that, you'll end up in a heap of trouble because you're just going to end up with a big, big bill at the end of it. And if you can't afford to pay that, you're going to have some serious difficulties for the next year or so trying to make up for that. You could possibly even get yourself prisoned if you don't know what you're doing. So I suggest you leave yourselves a back door. That's about as far as I can go with things because the council tax issue seems to be a stick in the mud at the moment. Now, I do know that there are plenty of people out there that are still trying to push on with it, and some of them are having a little more success, but it's far from home and dry at the moment, guys. As I say, protect yourselves. Don't listen to charlatans that want you to run over the cliff like lemons. Protect yourselves, protect yourselves, protect yourselves. Make sure you've got an out. Have a great day, people.